Hello, boys and girls, and anyone else that would like to listen. This is a story about who took Santa's sleigh for a spin. Two brothers, Wally and Jack, were on their way home after a long day of playing with other lads. But as they made their way towards home, about half a kilometre away, they had to pass an old hotel. There was a large fenced-off rear yard, but one side had a wooden fence with a mixture of shrubs and small trees growing against it. A well-known spot for having a quick fag, nicely out of sight, and where you could look through the big knothole in the paling on the wooden fence to see if there was anything interesting happening in the backyard of the hotel. Like drunks being thrown out, or patrons arguing with each other.
Stupid idiot.
Meanwhile, way above them, Santa was trying out his new rig, now fitted with the latest up-to-date gadgets, like GPS satellite tracking, vertical takeoff, more manageable reindeer, lockable storage for presents, just to name a few. He was not dressed up in his Santa uniform, but had his everyday ordinary clothes, jeans, shirt and black boots, when he had a sudden urge for a toilet stop. He looked down and saw a hotel with a bright neon sign lit up, and was pleased to see a large fenced yard that he could quickly make a landing without attracting too much attention. So he pressed Land in Yard on his new touchscreen, resulting in a quick drop in altitude and a lovely smooth landing. He jumped out, opened a small lid like a petrol filling cover on a car, dropped in a tiny device similar to a remote key unit, closed the lid, and then dashed for the back entrance of the hotel's toilet. "Holy smoke," said Wally. "I just saw Santa's sleigh flop down in the yard while the old bloke ran for the toilet or a shot of booze. What's more, I think that his reindeer are robots, because they haven't moved at all while the old guy was in the pub," said Wally. "Let's climb the fence and check it out while he's inside," said Jack. With that, they both helped each other over the fence and ran over to look at the new shiny red sleigh and the reindeer, which stood absolutely still in the half-light as the dusk fell. "Let's take it for a spin, as I saw him put the key in that small flap, and it can't be any harder than working a PlayStation," said Wally. With that, he opened the flap on the side, reached in and held up a small remote device and said, "Jump in, mate. We'll check this little baby out and take it for a spin." Wally pointed the device at the screen, which lit up, asking for a destination, so he quickly typed in Christchurch. It wanted to know manual or automatic, so Wally went with the automatic setting. Suddenly there was a swish as they rose vertically. The hotel became a postage stamp size away down below. The reindeer were all moving their heads and legs as if they were real while prancing through the air. "Wicked," says Jack, as they started to move in a forward direction towards the city, some 50 kilometres away. A windscreen wound up slowly to protect them from the chill wind due to the increased forward speed. "Wow," says Wally, "there's Christchurch just below, with all its lights going. But think it's time that we took Santa's buggy back, don't you?"
Yeah, the old bloke's probably looking for it and it's getting dark," says Jack.
With that, Wally typed in return to Whangamiro Hotel rear yard and pressed enter. Almost straight away, the rig did a U-turn and a sharp banking movement, with the reindeer leaning into the turn, with their heads shaking and legs trying to go faster with the increased speed. In the meantime, the old gent had made his toilet stop, came back out to the yard to find that his sleigh and deer had vanished.
What's happened to my sleigh?
Puffing with panic, he was straight on his mobile phone to headquarters, reporting that the rig had been stolen from outside the hotel in Wangamiro. They replied saying that the rig had been tracked to Christchurch and that it was on its way back, advising him to stay out of sight because the boys had only just borrowed it. There would be no damage done because it was in automatic mode. It was not too long before they could make out the bright sign of the hotel as darkness fell. And as the speed dropped, the windscreen retracted back out of sight and the sleigh slowly descended into the yard, landing with hardly a bump, and the reindeer stood absolutely still, exactly where they had stood before. "Let's get out of here," says Wally, dropping the controller on the seat. With a shot of adrenaline in their bloods, after such excitement, they were able to scramble over the fence like a pair of frightened cats. Santa's phone rang again to give him another message while he still waited in the hotel, looking out of the window. "We have taken a photo of the two lads from the screen camera, and our records show that they both live close by, just down the road. So there'll be no visit from Santa for them this Christmas. The remote controller is on the seat of your rig, and seeing that the boys have made a hasty retreat, you are free to go back to the depot and have things checked out and a security code added to the controller so that this will not happen again." The old gent, who was probably a Santa for a certain district, climbed aboard the sleigh, pointed the remote that lit up the control screen, pressed depot, auto and bells, and then quickly disappeared into the night sky with a sound of jingling bells fading as the sleigh gained altitude on its homeward journey. And that is the end of this story. Except a couple of comments from Wally, who said,
Well, Jack, I always wondered about those reindeer, 'cause I've never seen any droppings. Ah, you dipstick, that's because they're robots. Man, that was a cool ride in that old dude's sleigh. Well, you won't get a chance like that again, says Wally.
"Oh, what fun it is to ride on Santa's borrowed sleigh." And this, listeners, brings us to the real end of this story. And so I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, good health, and we'll see you all later in the next story. Cheers for now.